Audiobooks.com presents Autumnal Tints, a sleep story by Henry David Thoreau, narrated by John Skelley.
Europeans coming to America are surprised by the brilliancy of our autumnal foliage. There is no account of such a phenomenon in English poetry, because trees acquire but few bright colors there. The most that Thomson says on this subject in his Autumn is contained in the lines, "But see the fading many-colored woods, shade deepening over shade, the country round imbrown, a crowded umbrage, dusk and dun of every hue, from wan declining green to sooty dark." And in the line in which he speaks of autumn beaming o'er the yellow woods. The autumnal change of our woods has not made a deep impression on our own literature yet. October has hardly tinged our poetry. A great many who have spent their lives in cities and have never chanced to come into the country at this season have never seen this, the flower, or rather the ripe fruit of the year. I remember riding with one such citizen who, though a fortnight too late for the most brilliant tints, was taken by surprise, and would not believe that there had been any brighter. He had never heard of this phenomenon before. Not only many in our towns have never witnessed it, but it is scarcely remembered by the majority from year to year. Most appear to confound changed leaves with withered ones, as if they were to confound ripe apples with rotten ones. I think that the change to some higher color in a leaf is an evidence that it has arrived at a late and perfect maturity, answering to the maturity of fruits. It is generally the lowest and oldest leaves which change first, but as the perfect winged and usually bright-colored insect is short-lived, so the leaves ripen but to fall. Generally, every fruit on ripening and just before it falls, when it commences a more independent and individual existence, requiring less nourishment from any source, and that not so much from the earth through its stem as from the sun and air, acquires a bright tint. So do leaves. The physiologist says it is due to an increased absorption of oxygen. That is the scientific account of the matter, only a reassertion of the fact. But I am more interested in the rosy cheek than I am to know what particular diet the maiden fed on. The very forest and herbage, the pellicle of the earth, must acquire a bright color, an evidence of its ripeness, as if the globe itself were a fruit on its stem, with ever a cheek toward the sun. Flowers are but colored leaves, fruits but ripe ones. The edible part of most fruits is, as the physiologist says, the parenchyma or fleshy tissue of the leaf, of which they are formed. Our appetites have commonly confined our views of ripeness and its phenomena, color, mellowness, and perfectness, to the fruits which we eat, and we are wont to forget that an immense harvest which we do not eat, hardly use at all, is annually ripened by nature. At our annual cattle shows and horticultural exhibitions, we make, as we think, a great show of fair fruits, destined, however, to a rather ignoble end, fruits not valued for their beauty chiefly. But round about and within our towns there is annually another show of fruits, on an infinitely grander scale, fruits which address our taste for beauty alone. October is the month for painted leaves. Their rich glow now flashes round the world. As fruits and leaves and the day itself acquire a bright tint just before they fall, so the year near its setting. October is its sunset sky. November, the later twilight. I formerly thought that it would be worth the while to get a specimen leaf from each changing tree, shrub, and herbaceous plant, when it had acquired its brightest characteristic color in its transition from the green to the brown state, outline it, and copy its color exactly with paint in a book which should be entitled October, or Autumnal Tints, beginning with the earliest reddening woodbine and the lake of radical leaves, and coming down through the maples, hickories, and sumacs, and many
Sample complete. Ready to continue?